everyone. My name is Lillian and I am the Archive and Exhibits Coordinator at the Grundy Library. Today, I'm going to share with you some tips on how to get started with a home genealogy project using Ancestry.com Library Edition. I'm sure we're all looking for new projects to start and things to do while we're stuck at home. And since Ancestry has generously allowed for their library version to be available for free at home, what better project to start working on than your family tree? Typically, you can only access Ancestry Library Edition when you are on site at a Bucks County library, but the service is now available to library card holders for the remainder of April and will be re-evaluated monthly as needed. Please keep in mind that the library edition varies from the paid version and that you cannot create an account with the family tree, leaf hints, etc. that you may have seen frequently advertised on TV. So the best way to begin your genealogy search is by gathering all of the facts you can, either from knowledge you already have, other family members, or family heirlooms you can find around the house, such as photographs, scrapbooks, family Bibles, etc. When you are calling and checking in with family members during this time, why not ask them to share a few stories about their parents or grandparents? Then begin organizing what you discover, whether this is in a notebook, a file folder on your computer, or a physical file folder with the assorted paperwork you need. Ancestry has some great free charts and forms available for download from their website, which can be found at the link here. Additionally, a lot of the information I'll be sharing today can be found in the Ancestry Learning Center, which can be found here. The best types of records you want to be looking at for information include the following: vital records such as birth, marriage, and death certificates, religious records, cemetery records, census records, citizenship papers, passenger ship lists, military records, and other documents such as school records, town directories, deeds, wills, and newspapers. A majority of these can be found within Ancestry search results, as documents such as census and citizenship records belong to the National Archives, who have a partnership with Ancestry. Some can also be found at a local historical society or library, such as us. As mentioned before, the Ancestry Learning Center has some great tip sheets related to these record types. Most searching is fairly easy for those who have family members and ancestors that already lived in the United States. A majority of the U.S. population, though, can trace their family back to immigrants from other countries. This is where your searching might start to get a little tricky, and this can vary in levels of difficulty depending on where your ancestors were from and the time period they were coming to the United States. A majority of immigrants came to the United States in what historians call the first, second, and third waves of immigration. The first wave consisted of the first colonizers, so those who came to America in the 16 and 1700s. These groups were primarily German, English, Welsh, and Dutch. The second wave came during the 1800s and included those escaping poverty, political turmoil, seeking work during the Industrial Revolution, etc. Groups consisted primarily of those from Scandinavia, Ireland, Scotland, England, Turkey, Armenia, and China. The third wave happened during the early to mid-1900s, and these people were escaping things such as political turmoil, wars, and religious persecution. Groups included German, Polish, and Russian Jews, Greeks, Austro-Hungarians, and Italians. Once you reach your immigrant ancestors, keep in mind some of these trends in world history. Use the name, birth details, and place information as best you can when locating your ancestor in international records. Ancestry is great in that it allows you to do approximate searches. You can estimate things such as country of origin, birth or death year, and even name spelling to get started, and then specify as you move along. Spellings are certainly something to take into consideration when searching for immigrant ancestors. There's a good chance your relatives might have Americanized their names. A good example can be seen with a Germanic immigrant changing their last name from Mueller to Miller. Additionally, there is a chance that census takers may not have spelled your ancestor's name correctly, especially if they were phonetically guessing. I can attest that my Polish ancestors oftentimes are spelled in a variety of ways in the census. Take notes of these variations in your notebook or files. Another demographic that can sometimes be challenging to search for records the farther you go back in history are African American families. The easiest time frame to search for information can be found after the 1870 census. Prior to the 1870 census, and I'm sure we all know why, it becomes harder to find information about African American ancestors, as those who were enslaved in 1850 through 1860 were not listed in the census as citizens. If you reach this point in your searching, you might need to rethink your research strategies. If you are able to find out information on the potential slaveholder, try following their family's paper trail, as this can help you find out information about your family, such as where they lived and possibly their adopted surname. Other records to look into that include information about slaves are property and probate records, manifests, military records, emancipation records, and Freedmen's Bureau records. Ancestry has great step-by-step tip sheets for going about African American ancestral searching that go into more detail. As I mentioned before, these can be found in the Ancestry Learning Center. Before I close our little virtual program, let's do a walkthrough of an example ancestry search. So you're going to want to go to grundylibrary.org, and then on our home page, there's a tab that says Research. From Research, you're going to click on Articles and Databases. Once you do that, scroll down the page to the Genealogy section, and you'll see Ancestry right there at the top. So you can click on the icon right here, and that will launch it. So my computer, I'm already logged in with my card, but when you click on that icon, you will get a Bucks County Library screen that will prompt you to enter your library card number and your PIN number. So once you enter your library card information, then you will get this screen and be logged in. So we're going to click Begin Searching. And so this is the main search page in the Ancestry Library Edition. And as you can see on the right, there are a lot of the record types that we talked about earlier. So if you want to specify the type of record, you can search for vitals here, census, immigration and travel records, military, schools, tax, land, wills, etc. You can also specify the region that you want to search in. So you can specify it by state, continent, country, etc. All right, so for our example search, we are going to search for Joseph R. Grundy, who was Margaret's brother and the founder of the Grundy Foundation. So I'm going to enter Joseph R. Grundy. And I know for sure that he lived in Bristol. Now, if you are searching those from Bristol, you want to make sure that you include Bucks, because it's going to pull any city or town with the name Bristol. So you could get Bristol, Connecticut, Bristol, England. So you want to make sure it's Bucks. And then I know he was born in 1863. And I have some other information about him too. I know that he died in 1961, and I am very certain of this information because of that, I'm going to click exact. If you aren't sure, for example, if you are searching for an immigrant ancestor and you're not quite sure how to spell their name, you can click sounds like, similar, or sound X. And these options can be applied to the other search fields as well, if you're not 100% certain on the place or date. I'm not going to click exact for Joseph R. because there could be records that just have Joseph and don't have the middle initial. There could be records that say Joseph Ridgway. So I'm going to leave that open. But I know Grundy, Bristol, PA, and 1863 and 1961 are for sure facts. Now, if I wanted to, get into this a little more detailed, for example, with immigrant searching, you can search for a country or place they lived in. If you know they were born in, say, Poland, you can put Poland here. If you knew they died for certain in the United States, you can put that here. So there's a lot of extra details you can add to your search to get better results. But we're going to just go with this for now. Okay, so it looks like this search pulled primarily newspapers with his obituary, which is good, and that's fine. But I'm not really looking for obituaries. So maybe I will edit my search and I will take away the death date because I'm looking more for some census records. So I take out the death date and let's do a search. Oh, here we go. All right. So here he is listed in the 1930 census. So when you click on a record such as a census record within Ancestry, they will show the transcribed data here. So we can see, okay, he was born in New Jersey. Yep, single. Lived on Radcliffe Street. Yep. 610. Yep, we know that's him. Yep, he was a senator. And here we have the servants who were living with him at the time. And then if we want to confirm that, we can open up the document viewer. And sometimes Ancestry will conveniently highlight the people you're looking for. So there he is, Joseph R. Yep. And a good thing to do too is to double check the actual document because sometimes the transcription isn't 100% with spelling and there might be some details missing. So I would always recommend to check the actual document if it allows you to do that. And then the nice thing too you can do with this. So say you're like, okay, I want to save this for my records. You can go up here to save. And since we are at home, you can save it to your computer. If you were at the library though, you would want to do send image home and then you could email it to yourself. So then if you can download it and put it in your file folder or whatever kind of organization you have going. So that is just one example of how to do a basic search within Ancestry. To close out our mini program, I would like to mention a few other online resources you can use from home other than Ancestry. Findagrave.com, Family Search, and Cindy's List are good free resources. Additionally, with your library card, you can access the following databases from our website: Newspaper Archive, Heritage Quest Online, America's Genealogy Bank, and America's Obits and Death Notices. And of course, you can always contact us at the Grundy Library if you have any questions. Thank you and stay well.